December 1st, 2023, last month of the year. It has been a crazy week of realizations, and I'm coming to realize of how much I'm living in my own head. I realize that I'm grieving more than I expect. I'm going through more than I think. And when I want to forget, I slip into my head. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate everybody's support on this page, and I want to just remind you that this is a place of authentic expression. There's no judgment, so feel free to speak in the comments and say what's up, because life is hard and we need to all stop pretending like it's not. I've realized how much I've been living in my head. If you've been following my journey for a while, you know that I'm essentially an entrepreneur. I try to design my own reality. A lot of that motivation comes from what I've seen growing up. A lot of that motivation comes from the things that I've wanted growing up. And so I've associated a lot of my work ethic to my pain. And I've been in this business now for about 7 years professionally. I've been in the content space for a while. I started creating content when I was 12, been studying it ever since. But the content space for me has been an evolution of my personality. I've been blessed enough to inherit this era of personal branding, but to be honest, I've been personal branding my entire life. I don't really like to hide anything. I don't like to be inauthentic. I'm very big on freedom and self-expression, and I don't like to feel limited. And so for years, I've been posting content about what I've been going through and my experiences. And I just turned 25. A lot of the big conversation for me around there was, why is it taking so long? Why is this taking so long? And I want to just remind you that if you compare yourself to where you want to be, you'll never be doing enough. So we have to look back and see where we've come. And this year has been an amazing year of awareness, realization, of growth and surrender, maturity and wisdom. But it hasn't been easy. Those lessons came with a lot of pain, and those lessons came with bittersweet truths that I didn't want to accept. But what I keep reminding myself is face the storm. Face the storm. Because there's always one coming. There's always one coming. And if you spend your entire life pretending and hiding, then those shadows that live within you, those shadows that speak up when you go to sleep at night, they're only going to get stronger. And I really, really didn't want to surrender my pain. People say misery loves comfort, but I think people love misery. I really do believe that as mortal beings that get just born out of nowhere and out of the fractions of minutes that we get to actually contemplate our existence on this planet, we spend our time thinking about what is going on, what is truly happening. And so much of that is pain. So much of that is sacrifice. And so to spend so much of your time sacrificing to then just let go of your misery, it feels like, well, what did I go through? What was the purpose of that? If I went through all that and now I'm just letting it go and forgetting about it, then did it matter? And I'm here to remind you that, yes, that's exactly why it matters. Because you're choosing to create a better world based off of what you've seen. And that's leadership. And that's how I express myself through entrepreneurship. But so much of what we do and so much of what I do is escape into my own head, into the place that I can control, into the place where I can feel peace. I do that with alcohol. I do that with marijuana. I do that with video games. But when you don't know how to heal and you're trying to stay positive and you're trying to not blow up, you got to do what you got to do. And you got to show yourself a lot of grace. So much grace has to be shown. And it's a journey. It truly is a journey of surrendering to the lesson. I believe that God, creator, the universe, the reason why we're here, teaches us through very interesting ways. And one thing that I saw the other day on the internet was really cool is that the universe doesn't speak English, it speaks frequencies. And as I'm navigating my life, I realize that my existence is a frequency. My reality is a frequency. Everything I experience is a frequency. And in order to navigate towards a maybe more peaceful or stable reality, I have to navigate through these dark feelings. I have to push myself through these uncomfortable ideas in order to absorb the information, absorb the lesson, so that I can emit a different frequency. If you're going through something, and I as well go through a lot, I want to remind you that it's healthier for you to absorb the pain and co-create with it than to ignore it. Because like I said earlier, if you ignore it, it becomes stronger. And what you want to do is you want to embrace the challenge and become stronger. You become stronger. And understand that that takes time. Falling makes you stronger. Falling is part of the process. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen through these 7 years of my professional experience, but it's why I'm so confident in the journey ahead, because of how much I've trusted myself and how much I've trusted God and how much I've surrendered to my vision. But it's not always that easy. It's not always that easy. I've been really trying to go sober and really focus on the challenge ahead. And I knew I couldn't do it right away just because I'm under so much pressure. And a lot of that pressure, I feel like no one can help me. It's kind of like a spiritual battle with myself where I have to learn how to navigate certain areas. And, some people just can't help you with your own problems. Like they can guide you and they can give you space and they can give you time. But at the end of the day, you still have to be the one to slay the dragon. And I wasn't ready to go sober. But what I did do was I started going to the gym. And even though I was still using on the weeks and the weekends and the weekdays, I maintained vision. I maintained focus. Don't stop, but it's okay to slow down, And so I slowed down a little bit. And I know that my life is complicated, and I know that what I'm doing today has never been done before. No one has ever been Sandy and has gone through what I've gone through and is now trying to figure out what I'm trying to figure out with the family members that I have and the way that I look and the time that I'm in 2023, right? So like everything I'm doing it for the first time. And so I give myself a lot of grace. And I know that it's important to give myself a lot of grace because I have to lead by example. If I have a team member and they're going through something like this, I have to lead with grace. And so I just took it one step at a time. I started hitting the gym. I started to face my pain. I started to embrace it and understand, very similarly to the show that I watch, Maniac on Netflix. I would highly recommend it. You have to grow around it. You have to adjust around it. It's not going to go away. And all you can do is be grateful for it, change your perspective on it, and use it as fuel to move forward. Because that's what true freedom is. And I want to remind you guys of that. Freedom is taking 100% responsibility over your reality. If something doesn't go your way, you can't point fingers. You can only point that finger right back at yourself and say, how did I allow this to happen? And so as I was going through this storm, I was like, okay, I'll just hit the gym consistently. I'm on week 9 now. Next week will be week 10 of just hitting the gym consistently at least 3 times a week. And I've been really enjoying it. I've been seeing it as a self-love practice instead of the negative self-love practices that I've had before. And now I'm getting more from my routine. I'm getting more from my reality. And so if you're going through something like that where you're using certain things to cope, understand that, yeah, that's okay. That's fine. You know, give yourself grace, but don't stop. Understand that this is a battle, and that, you know, this is honestly up to you. Decide what you want. Do you want to be this way, or do you want to be a different way? I've realized too, through, smoking marijuana, I'm like, do I want to just be a smoker? You know? And again, this is a battle where you're competing with yourself. I told myself, you know what? Nah, this isn't, I'm not living in integrity. When I speak to myself and I speak to my spirit, I'm not living in integrity. I don't want to do this forever. And so I had to have that tough conversation with myself. Ignoring it was hard. Facing it was hard too. But facing it made progress instead of adding debt onto this fear and this weakness. But, I just remind myself that this is a spiritual game, and that as much as we think we're making progress in the physical space, a lot of the progress happens in the spiritual and mental space. And so as I found myself sneaking into my mind, I realized that it's not a negative thing, right? Everything's a tool. Everything comes down to how you use it and how responsible you are. I have an addictive personality. If you want to go out and get some drinks, I want to get slammed. If we're smoking together, I'm going to smoke until I don't want to smoke anymore, and then I'm done smoking for that day. And I know that I just didn't have a healthy relationship with it. So I understood the proper steps I had to do with myself. But this has taken years. Like that kind of fortitude didn't just start right there. That fortitude started years and years ago, baby steps of wanting to grow my business, figuring out business, reading books, connecting with clients, waking up early when I didn't want to. At least I thought I was. I thought I wasn't a morning person. I thought I wasn't a book reader, but I surrendered to what my spirit was fascinated with. And I want to remind you that if you're fascinated with it, you will become it. If things are getting in the way, holding yourself back from what you truly want is twice as expensive on your energy. So if you're exhausted all the time and you're like, I feel like I have no time in the day, maybe it's because you're holding on to things that don't truly resonate with you and you're always exhausted. There's never enough energy. If you start adding things into your life that give you energy and exhaust you with fulfillment, there's going to be more energy. And that's what I'm realizing too. I understand that this is just a new journey. I understand not to come to conclusions, and that at the end of the day, I just want to express what I've learned from this chapter. But I am also humble enough to know that this is not the end. I'm still alive. God still has something to teach me. There's still more learnings ahead. I might be saying something completely different from now, but it might be applicable to the season I'll be in. And so just know that if you're going through a season similar to this, that you're making progress. You can slow down, but don't stop. And it's all about consistency. Take one small step at a time. One of the very small first steps I started with, especially with my health journey, is just drinking more water. Drinking more water. That turned into taking supplements. That turned into gym. That turned into running. That turned into, it just all happens gradually. We're not robots. We can't force ourselves to love things or just immediately be disciplined and immediately be dragged into this quote unquote perfect lifestyle. Because if our mind's not ready for it, if our spirit's not ready for it, then we will self-sabotage and it will just make us very, very unhappy. And so I want to just remind you that if you are going through something like this, you're not alone. I want to remind you that if you're not going through something like this and you've previously shamed other people about this kind of stuff, that's cool too. I've been there. I can't tell you how many times I've talked crap about people with addictions. Oh, I'll never get addicted. I'll never be, prone to a tool and use the tool and rely on the tool heavily. But it's part of the process. It's what makes the world such an exciting place to live in and to succeed in. It's because we're all different. And what I hope this information does for you is remind you of that, is that even though we're all different and it's okay to be going through what you're uniquely going through, we all essentially relate on the same challenges. We're all just trying to get through. We're all just trying to spend more time thinking about what is going on in this spiritual experience. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Right? And so it's a complicated journey, Don't come to conclusions. Take it one step at a time. Listen to your heart and act with the mind. You know, there's so many times where my heart's like, oh, I want this, I need this. But, if my mind knows based off of the earlier conversations that I've had with my heart that I have to do this, X, Y, and Z, then I have to follow through. It's not easy. It's not something that, oh, that's right, I'll do that. It doesn't work that way. Things are complicated, and we'll move forward. We'll figure this out together. I hope this information resonates. I hope this information is useful. I want you to know that you can turn your negatives into positive. You can turn your pain into purpose. You can turn your pain into power, right? It's all about perspective. Shift the way these energies affect you. Lead, design your reality. Give yourself grace and patience, and lead by example. The journey is not over, okay? Appreciate you for watching this video. I really do. I think these types of conversations make the world a better place, and I want to invite you to have more of these types of conversations. If you want to have more of these types of conversations, maybe you just need a community of authentic people. I currently have one of these communities, and if you'd like to join, you can head over to goanomalous.com/basement. Love to see you there, and would love to grow with you. This has been an amazing journey of communicating myself authentically online, and I really do appreciate the feedback that I'm getting, so thank you so much again for that. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed already and you want to be part of this authentic experience, and subscribe. And if you'd like to share and add something to the conversation, regardless of what it is, no shame or judgment, drop it down in the comments. And if it's something maybe a little bit more private, just one-on-one, you can text it to me on Instagram at I'm Super Sandy. Again, I really do appreciate you for listening, whether it's now or in the future, but we'll get through this. I'll get through this. We'll all get through this. I'm not the only one going through something like this. We're all growth oriented, and the most important thing is that we're facing the battle, facing it head on, and being courageous. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next week.